Sometimes, the most chilling mysteries don't happen in haunted woods or on deserted roads. They happen in plain sight, under the bright lights of a city, surrounded by hundreds of people, and yet, no one sees a thing. This is the story of one of America's most baffling disappearances. A young man who walked into a crowded bar and was never seen again. It was April 1st, 2006. Columbus, Ohio. 27-year-old medical student Brian Shaffer was ready to celebrate. Spring break had just begun, and the future looked bright. He met up with his friends to kick off the night at a popular spot in the University District, a bar called the Ugly Tuna Saloon. To anyone watching, Brian was the life of the party. He was happy, laughing, dancing, and enjoying the start of his well-deserved break from the rigors of medical school. That night, he even took a moment to call his girlfriend, Alexis, just to tell her he loved her. It was a simple, sweet gesture. It would also be the last time anyone ever heard his voice. The night wore on, filled with music and chatter. Around 1:15 in the morning, the bar's security cameras captured Brian outside on the escalator landing, chatting briefly with two young women. He smiles, waves goodbye to them, and then turns back toward the entrance of the bar. The camera records him walking through the doorway, back into the lively crowd. And then, he disappears. He walks into the bar, but no camera ever shows him walking out. When Brian did show up for a flight to Miami, he was supposed to take with his girlfriend a few days later, the first real seeds of worry were planted. His friends and family started calling, but his phone went straight to voicemail. Panic began to set in. Where was Brian? The police were called, and a massive search began. They combed through the bar, the surrounding streets, and even the nearby Alentany River. Investigators spent countless hours reviewing surveillance footage from every camera in and around the building, watching it frame by frame. The layout of the bar became a critical piece of the puzzle. The Ugly Tuna Saloon was on the second floor of a complex, and it had only one public entrance and exit, the same one Brian was filmed walking back into. There was a service exit in the back, but at the time, the area was a chaotic construction zone, blocked by debris and difficult to navigate even for staff. Police determined it would have been nearly impossible for Brian to leave that way undetected. The investigation intensified. Detectives managed to identify every single person who entered or left the bar that night from the security tapes. Everyone was accounted for. Everyone, except Brian Shaffer. It was as if he had stepped through a portal and vanished into thin air. His phone was never used again. His credit cards were never touched. His bank account remained untouched. There was no body, no witnesses to a crime, and absolutely no clues left behind. Over the years, theories have swirled around this impossible disappearance. Some people believe Brian must have found a hidden way out, a secret exit that investigators missed. Maybe he slipped away voluntarily, or perhaps someone forced him out through an unknown route. But despite extensive searches of the building, no such secret passage was ever found. Another, darker theory suggests foul play. Could Brian have been attacked inside the bar, where the noise and crowd could have muffled any sounds of a struggle? Or maybe he was lured into the back alley and met with a terrible fate. But again, there was no evidence of a fight, no blood, and nobody reported hearing anything unusual that night. It seemed unlikely that a violent crime could occur in such a public space without a single person noticing. Then there's the theory that Brian chose to disappear. He was dealing with a profound personal tragedy. His mother had passed away from cancer just a few weeks earlier. Some speculate that the weight of his grief became too much to bear, and he decided to walk away from his old life to start a new one somewhere else. But his family and his girlfriend, Alexis, have always insisted this was completely out of character. Brian loved his life. He was excelling in medical school, he was deeply in love, and he was excited about the future. He had just made plans for that trip to Miami. Why would he abandon everything he had worked so hard for? The case took an even stranger turn about 5 months after Brian vanished. One evening, his girlfriend's phone rang. Her heart leaped when she saw the caller ID. It said Brian. She frantically answered, hoping, praying to hear his voice. But there was only silence on the other end, just a crackle of static, and then the line went dead. The call was traced to a cell tower in a nearby town, but a later investigation suggested it was most likely a network glitch, a ghost in the machine. Still, for Alexis and Brian's family, that silent, eerie call remains a haunting and unanswered question mark in a story full of them. For years, Brian's father, Randy Shaffer, was a relentless force in the search for his son. He put up posters, gave countless media interviews, and even consulted with psychics, willing to try anything to find an answer. He never gave up hope. Tragically, in 2008, Randy passed away in a freak accident, never knowing what happened to his beloved son. To this day, the disappearance of Brian Shaffer is one of the most perplexing missing person cases in modern history. There have been no verified sightings, no new evidence, and no closure for the people who loved him. It's a chilling reminder that a person can be surrounded by hundreds of people one moment and be completely gone the next. What really happened to Brian Shaffer inside the Ugly Tuna Saloon? Did he fall victim to a sinister act hidden by the noise of a Friday night? Or did he orchestrate his own vanishing act, leaving behind a trail of silence and a mystery for the ages? Sometimes, the scariest part of a story isn't the crime itself, but the eternal, agonizing, not knowing. The truth, it seems, remains in the dark. If you're captivated by real-life mysteries that defy explanation, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We dive deep into the stories where the whispers of the past are still waiting to be heard. Thanks for watching.